Okay, what are you standing next to?
Standing next to almost like what the chicken coop is. It's a greenhouse for the fish. Keeps them warm under the water.
Okay, so out the back door, we have a water garden, right?
Yes.
All right, and we keep ornamental fish.
Yes, koi.
Yeah, and we
And a
do have goldfish. One left, yeah. And it's all closed up for the winter. All right. Now, one of the most common questions that we get when people find out, friends and family or other people interested in water gardening or fish keeping, what do they ask us about the wintertime?
What do we do? Do we bring the fish inside? That's
Yeah, we get asked that constantly, right? Do you bring the fish in for the winter? Would it be easy for us to bring in the fish we have, considering the size that they are?
No, because our largest one is almost, I'd say, over a foot.
Yeah.
Over a foot. And
Yeah, well over. I'd say 18 to 20 inches. And how big around?
Well, this year they're getting like 3 or 4 inches around now.
3 or 4 around?
Yeah, they've been getting bigger because of the food. Like.
About like this? Put your hands up and show.
Yeah, that's like.
Okay, so across you would say at least 4 inches, huh?
Yeah, like not like.
Around would be bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was thinking.
Yep. All right.
Diameter.
So last year we had a really hard winter, right?
Yeah.
Did we get much snow?
No, not really.
No. And snow is a good insulator.
Yes.
And so the lack of snow and the cold winter was really hard on things. It thawed and froze. The ice got really thick out here.
We lost a fish. He got really sick.
We lost a lot of fish last year. We lost 4.
Well, the goldfish aren't as.
Okay, but still,
sad.
we lost 4. We lost 4 fish. One really big koi, right?
Yeah, that got gross. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a bad year. So because some of the fish we have are, well, the one is 12 years we've had her. So we figure she must be 13 or 14 years old. We want to try and safeguard them a little bit, right? Okay. So we have never done this before, right? Never
No.
covered the water garden. Okay. What have we done in the past?
In the past, we just had like a heated rock and put up some pumps, drained out all of these, put everyone in here, the big one, and
Yeah.
just let it go.
Right, because if I pan this over, we have the top part up here that runs down through the rock wall into like a sump, which gets pumped back up, and it's like a circle, right? So this up here is still uncovered, and there is fish up on the top, but that's the way we always did it. And then this year we tried an experiment. Okay. All right. So your grandfather and I, we built this in a afternoon. Okay, and we built it so that it's modular, right? Comes apart pretty easy. It sits into like the barn door gate hardware, and we pin it together, and then we tack this tarp that your grandfather had lying around on to capture what kind of energy?
Capture solar energy.
Yeah, that's right, to keep it warmer in there. All right. It has leftover hardware and basic things on it just to keep it closed. So what's under that little piece of tin that's stuck on the side there?
It's your door.
A little hole, right?
Yep.
You can stick your finger in there and you can pull the door open.
Yep.
Okay, so go ahead and open it up. You gotta pull that little piece of scrap metal back that holds the door shut, because it gets pretty windy through here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There. So open it up all the way. All right, so it doesn't touch the walkway going over the water garden. It just it's self-supporting. It sits up off the ground, so it doesn't do what? Why did we sit it up off the ground?
So it wouldn't freeze to the ground.
Well, what are we really worried about?
Water.
Water, right? Because what's it made out of?
It's made out of wood.
OSB?
Yeah, that doesn't keep water out as well.
No, it's what we had on hand, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't know how well this would work, so we went down to the shop and we grabbed 2x4s, some pieces of scrap plywood. We had this is made out of one sheet of OSB cut from corner to corner, so it's 4 feet wide at the bottom, and I think it's a little over 5 feet tall. So we basically took the sheet of OSB, cut it corner to corner, and then we cut the tops off. So we took the 2 triangles and we made this basic structure to keep the snow off and keep the heat in. I think it works pretty well. All right, we'll show that. Go ahead and put the digital probe in the top part. So as you can see, yesterday's really warm day shrunk the ice back. So there's a pump that's sitting in a 5-gallon bucket on the bottom of that keeps the water from freezing too deep. But we do get a decent ice cover. But yesterday was unseasonably warm in the nearly mid-40s, which is pretty warm for January in Wisconsin. Where are you at for temperature?
33 inch.
33, okay. So the surface temperature of that is 33 degrees.
Yeah.
All right, when you look in here, what do you notice immediately that's different?
No ice.
Yeah, no ice at all, right?
Yeah.
So we do have a pond de-icer in there. And this particular one, I guess I could always put a link in there. It's I think it's thermal pond.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Thermal pond. And it's like a 100-watt heater. The ring, the flotation ring, is heated, and then it has the gas exchange hole on the top. And we used that last year in the really bad winter, and it did work. The only problem is we had 20 inches of ice underneath it, or around it, I should say. It stayed open where it was.
Ice would go around
it was just too cold. So stick the digital probe in there. Kind of warm down here with all these dark colors, the dark pavers and the walkway and everything. It's pretty warm.
Mm-hmm.
What's your temperature at?
36.
Okay.
Right now.
That's probably about right. So it's only about 3 degrees warmer water temperature at the surface. You can feel free to stick your arm down in there about 30 inches and see if it's warmer towards the bottom, but I'm not going to.
I could. I got my coat.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. So when you asked me earlier if I thought this was a failed experiment, I would say no. And do you have any thoughts on why I don't think it's a failed experiment, even though it's only about 3 degrees warmer?
Well, 1, there's no ice, and 2, it is a few degrees warmer.
Okay. It's not going to wow you. You're not going to feed your fish all year, right? Because at 36 degrees, we're not feeding them because they're pretty much in stasis for the year. I mean, they're moving around and they're little.
Yeah.
But what do you think about gas exchange?
I don't know.
Gas exchange on the water surface? So when it comes to just simple gas exchange, the entire surface of that is open. And you can't see it in this video because it goes under the walkway and everything, but We have a 8 foot by 4 foot wide area with this little thermal shelter over it, and it's kept the entire water surface clear. So, as far as usable water, the fish aren't losing water that they can breathe and get gas transfer. And when they are building up biological waste, we have more water area for that biological process, right?
Yeah.
So in this situation, I would say it is not a fail. We only have one pump running in there.
Mm-hmm.
Normally we would have to run two because
On a bad year, 3.
one pump wouldn't be able to keep up. In some years we've had to run expensive cow tank heaters and things, which I don't like doing because it creates hot spots in there.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find the fish congregate around hot spots, and I think that contributes to illness because when the cow tank heater runs when it's really warm, it creates a hot spot, and then the fish cool off. You get heating and cooling,
Yeah.
and it seems like those are the years we have fish losses. The other thing too, why don't I like to use heat lamps and different things in heaters?
Lots of electricity.
Okay, that's one reason, but what's a second reason?
Well, besides the fish getting used to it,
What happens if they fail?
the fish will die.
Yeah, they
They've
could,
been
if they're
so
not
warm.
acclimated, or
Yeah.
if they're used to the water being warm. Oh, I see somebody out down there.
That's Peaches.
So, have we ever had heaters fail?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Everything iced over
Yep.
and it got bad.
Yeah,
couldn't
we
get the
sure
heaters
have.
out.
We've had brand new heaters fail, right?
Yeah.
Where we've had to drive to Tractor Supply or somewhere and try and get a cow tank heat. All right, we've had this open for quite a while now, right? So the temperatures dropped. We were 70, if not over 70, with the door shut. With the door being open while we did this, we've dropped down to upper 60s. But still, when it's winter time in January and below freezing, to have this space stay comfortable, I think that's well worth the effort of screwing this thing together, so that we could keep this whole water surface open for the winter. So here's a couple laying on the bottom. This is what they do for the winter. Try and get you just an idea of why I like to do the clean bottom. You can see this this kind of yellow one here. She is about a 12 or 13-year-old female, and she just kind of hangs out for the winter, laying on the bottom. And she doesn't like getting her picture taken because now everybody's moving. I try to keep a clean bottom in the winter. I take a fine mesh net and I pick up rocks and things as best I can. It's not going to be perfect. The reason that I do this is, like I just showed you, there's fish laying on the bottom for the winter, and I don't want anything sharp that'll poke them or irritate their bellies. So I try and do as clean as possible, so that when it gets really cold and they settle in, they lay in on a clean bottom.